And we begin our report tonight with the fight to win power on the debate stage and the picket line, the inability to wield power in the House of Representatives, and the abuse of power in the Senate. Trust me, trust us, and mistrust. At the Reagan Library in Simi Valley, California, 7 GOP candidates face each other. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in the center because he has the best polling numbers of all those participating. One fewer candidate will be debating this time around. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson did not qualify. Donald Trump is on an entirely different stage. He won't be with his party colleagues, but in Detroit, speaking to striking auto workers, a day after President Biden joined the picket line. California Governor Gavin Newsom, who will be at the Republican debate, trolling the other party, says Trump's absence is going to define the debate.
This is a vice presidential debate at best. This is the JV team. Donald Trump is running away with this. Not just a double-digit lead, 40+% in a poll that just came out today, speaking of polls. So this is the XFL.
And we go to our senior White House and political correspondent, Ed O'Keefe, at the debate site in Simi Valley, California. Ed, why does Governor Newsom want to define this race as over? And do Republican voters agree with his sentiment that Trump is basically running away with this?
John, I guess you can call me the XFL correspondent. Now, good to be with you. Democrats, including Governor Newsom, desperately want this to be a Biden-Trump rematch because that's a race they can win. At least they think so. And if it's anybody else, it's it's a scrambled thing that they're just not quite ready for, and concerned, of course, about the generational contrast. I would argue, looking at the numbers we've gotten in our own polling just in the last 24 hours from the early states of Iowa and New Hampshire, the two most important at this point since they go first, that there's a real interest in what happens tonight here at the Reagan Library, and there's still an appetite for somebody else. Look at this. Presidential debate, 62% of Iowa Republican primary voters say it's a major factor. More than half of New Hampshire's voters say the same. Retail politics is expected and important in those states. That's understandable. But debates tops it. So they will be watching tonight, if not for the vice presidential or the JV level candidate, perhaps for somebody they'd actually like to vote for. Because the other number in our poll that continues to stand out to me, and certainly stands out in the minds of the 7 other contenders that are here tonight, is this. The only Trump numbers, 20% in Iowa, 23% in New Hampshire, is less than those thinking about Trump and somebody else or not considering Trump at all. And so if you're somebody among the 7 on stage tonight, you want to get that down over the course of October, November, and December to maybe just 2 or 3 remaining alternatives and watch that bigger number, the maybe or the never Trump, start to consolidate around those left behind. It could eventually dwarf Trump. I talked to one of the aides for, I believe it was Tim Scott earlier today on our America Decides program, and he pointed out 8 years ago we were all here for another debate. Donald Trump was here, Jeb Bush was here, Scott Walker, the Wisconsin governor that everyone thought was going to be the front runner and the nominee, was still here in a debate when it was held here. So it's a reminder. It is still early. Very few Americans paying close attention and really thinking about this in a way that requires them to make a decision. And it's why these 7 candidates still get out of bed in the morning and go out and campaign for president, believing they may still have a shot.
So let's talk about those candidates, Ed. Is there any sense of how, as you mentioned, they want to narrow it down. They want to make it essentially a 2-man race, Trump and the other person, man or woman. Do you have any sense of tonight whether there is, is everybody going to go after DeSantis, who's in the middle, the closest frontrunner, or is there some other strategy that appears to be emerging before this debate tonight?
We're told DeSantis should expect some of it, but he's going to try to remain above the fray, focused on defeating Trump, focused on defeating President Biden, because that is the ultimate Republican mission. But you should also expect to see former Governor and Ambassador Nikki Haley take some of the incoming from those on stage, because they've seen her numbers tick up perhaps most notably since the last debate, in part because of her debate performance. The other one that's likely in for a bit of a ribbing by the others is Vivek Ramaswamy, who has also seen his numbers climb, much to the annoyance of others on stage. And what better place to talk to him about what it means to be a Republican than here, the burial place of the 40th president and his wife, Nancy Reagan, who for so many Republicans is why they are a Republican. And the Republican Party he represented is arguably at risk, if not dying. Ramaswamy, Trump, and other populists in the party, perhaps more reflective of where the GOP's at now. Don't be surprised if we see some exchanges over that issue.
Absolutely. Ed O'Keefe in Simi Valley, California. Thanks a lot, Ed.
Take care.